What if I told you that the secret to making a man fall deeply in love with you has nothing to do with your appearance, your cooking skills, or even how much you do for him? What if the most powerful force that draws a man to a woman isn't what you might expect at all? Today, we're diving deep into the psychology of male attraction and love, and I'm going to reveal something that might shock you. The women who have men completely captivated, the ones who have their partners calling them their dream woman, the ones in relationships where the man is genuinely obsessed in the healthiest way possible. They all share one critical trait that has nothing to do with being perfect and everything to do with being disciplined. This isn't about playing games or manipulation. This is about understanding the fundamental psychological principles that create lasting, deep attraction in the male mind. By the end of this video, you'll understand why disciplining your mind is the ultimate relationship superpower and how it creates the kind of magnetic attraction that makes a man see you as irreplaceable. So grab a notebook, because what you're about to learn will change everything you thought you knew about love and attraction. Let's dive in. THE I am Ian Tell. ISUNDERSTDNG. Most women approach relationships from a place of emotional reactivity rather than strategic emotional intelligence. They believe that showing their feelings immediately, being available at all times, and putting their partner's needs before their own demonstrates love and devotion. But here's what they don't understand. This approach actually works against the very psychology that creates deep, lasting attraction in men. Men are wired to pursue, to work for what they value, and to be drawn to women who present a compelling challenge. This doesn't mean being difficult or playing hard to get in a manipulative way. It means having such a strong sense of self, such clear boundaries, and such disciplined emotional responses that you become irresistible, not because you're trying to be, but because you genuinely are a high value woman. The women who have men completely devoted to them understand something crucial. Attraction isn't just about the initial spark. It's about maintaining that spark through consistent behavior that demonstrates your worth, your standards, and your emotional maturity. And this all starts with disciplining your mind. When you discipline your mind, you stop reacting to every emotional trigger. You stop being needy, desperate, or overly accommodating. Instead, you become someone who responds thoughtfully, maintains her dignity, and creates an energy that men find absolutely magnetic. You become the woman that men don't just want, you become the woman they need. Tiwi Pawar OFE Monail Di SIPINE. Emotional discipline is perhaps the most attractive quality a woman can possess, yet it's the one most women struggle with the most. Emotional discipline doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or becoming cold and unfeeling. It means having complete control over how you express your emotions and when you choose to share them. A woman with emotional discipline doesn't call or text when she's upset and seeking immediate validation. She doesn't blow up over small issues or create drama to get attention. She doesn't make her emotional state everyone else's responsibility. Instead, she processes her emotions internally first, determines what response is most appropriate, and then acts from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. This kind of emotional maturity is incredibly attractive to men because it shows them several things. First, that you're not going to be a source of unnecessary stress in their life. Second, that you can handle yourself and your emotions without needing to be managed or handled. Third, that when you do express emotions, it's meaningful and worth paying attention to because it's not constant or over dramatic. Men often complain about women being too emotional, but what they're really complaining about is emotional incontinence, the inability to regulate emotional expression appropriately. A woman who has disciplined her emotional responses becomes a breath of fresh air. She becomes someone a man can rely on to be stable, mature, and rational even in challenging situations. When you master emotional discipline, you create space for the man to pursue you emotionally. Instead of overwhelming him with your feelings, you give him room to develop and express his own. You become someone he wants to open up to because you've shown that you can handle emotions, both yours and his, with grace and wisdom. TASKRCITYPINCILPUIN relation sipes. One of the most powerful psychological principles at play in attraction is scarcity. We value what is rare, what is difficult to obtain, and what we might lose. A woman who has disciplined her mind understands this principle intuitively and applies it naturally, not through manipulation, but through genuine self-respect and high standards. The disciplined woman doesn't make herself constantly available. She has her own life, her own goals, her own interests, and her own schedule. When a man wants to see her, she might be free or she might have other commitments. This isn't about playing games, it's about being a complete person with a full life that doesn't revolve around any one relationship. This natural unavailability creates the psychological tension that keeps attraction alive. When you're always available, always accommodating, always saying yes, you remove the element of pursuit that men are naturally drawn to. You become predictable, and predictability is the enemy of passion. But when you have disciplined yourself to maintain your own life, your own interests, and your own standards, you create natural scarcity. You become someone who has to be earned, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you genuinely have other valuable things going on in your life. The woman who understands scarcity doesn't drop everything when a man calls. She doesn't cancel her plans to accommodate his last-minute requests. She doesn't make his life her entire world. Instead, she maintains her own world and invites him to be part of it, rather than abandoning her world to become part of his. This approach makes a man work to earn time with you, space in your life, and ultimately your heart, and men fall in love with what they have to work for. They fall in love with what feels like an achievement, not what feels like a given. TH Coffee and CT Coff Commerce Fram CF DCI Palime. True confidence, the kind that makes men fall head over heels, doesn't come from external validation or achievements. It comes from the deep knowledge that you can handle whatever life throws at you because you've disciplined yourself to be emotionally, mentally, and spiritually strong. When a woman has disciplined her mind, she carries herself differently. She doesn't seek validation from men because she validates herself. She doesn't need constant reassurance because she's secure in who she is. She doesn't bend herself into pretzel shapes, trying to be what she thinks a man wants because she knows that the right man will want her exactly as she is. This kind of confidence is magnetic because it's authentic. It's not the fake confidence that comes from trying to convince others you're valuable. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your value so deeply that you don't need to prove it to anyone. Men can sense this confidence immediately. They can tell the difference between a woman who's trying to impress them and a woman who knows she's impressive. They can distinguish between a woman who needs their approval and a woman who would appreciate their appreciation but doesn't require it for her self-worth. The disciplined woman doesn't fish for compliments or seek constant validation. She doesn't need to be told she's beautiful, intelligent, or worthy. She knows these things about herself. This inner knowing creates an energy that men find absolutely irresistible because it represents the kind of strength and stability they want in a life partner. When you're confident in yourself, you make different choices. You don't settle for less than you deserve. You don't accept poor treatment. You don't compromise your values to keep someone interested. And paradoxically, this makes men more interested, not less, because you've shown that you're someone worth working for. Bu udurais ase laovi lengue g, perhaps nothing demonstrates mental discipline more clearly than the ability to set and maintain healthy boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls designed to keep people out. They're standards that define how you expect to be treated and what you will and won't accept in your relationships. A woman with disciplined boundaries doesn't accept last-minute date changes, disrespectful communication, or half-hearted effort. She doesn't tolerate being taken for granted, being treated as an option, or being disrespected in any way. But she doesn't enforce these boundaries through anger, drama, or ultimatums. She enforces them through calm, consistent action. When a man crosses a boundary, the disciplined woman doesn't engage in lengthy explanations or emotional outbursts. She simply withdraws her attention and energy until the behavior changes. She understands that actions speak louder than words, and that trying to convince someone to treat you well is a losing game. This approach to boundaries is incredibly attractive to men because it shows them exactly where they stand and what's expected. There's no guesswork, no mixed signals, no confusion. They know that if they want access to your time, attention, and affection, they need to earn it through consistent, respectful behavior. Men respect women who respect themselves. When you discipline yourself to maintain your standards regardless of how much you like someone, you show a man that you're someone worthy of respect. You show him that you value yourself enough to walk away from anything that doesn't serve you, and this makes him want to be something that serves you. The woman with disciplined boundaries creates a clear framework within which love can flourish. She creates safety for both herself and her partner by establishing what behavior is acceptable and what isn't. This clarity is incredibly attractive because it removes the anxiety and uncertainty that comes with unclear expectations. THPURRFINDPNTAINS, one of the most attractive qualities a woman can possess is the ability to be genuinely happy on her own. The disciplined woman doesn't look to relationships to complete her or make her happy. She creates her own happiness through her choices, her mindset, her activities, and her personal growth. This independent happiness is magnetic because it takes the pressure off the relationship to be everything. When you're already happy and fulfilled, a man becomes an addition to your life rather than a necessity. This shift in dynamic is crucial because it allows the relationship to develop naturally rather than out of neediness or desperation. Men are naturally drawn to positive energy. When you've disciplined yourself to maintain a positive outlook, to find joy in your daily life, and to be genuinely content with who you are, you become a source of light that men want to be around. You become someone who adds value to their life rather than someone who drains energy from it. The woman who depends on a man for her happiness puts enormous pressure on the relationship. She makes her emotional state his responsibility, which is both unfair and unattractive. But the woman who takes responsibility for her own happiness creates space for genuine love to develop because neither person is dependent on the other for their basic emotional well being. When you're independently happy, you make choices from a place of desire rather than need. You choose to be with someone because you want them in your life, not because you need them to feel complete. This creates a completely different energy in the relationship, one of choice, appreciation, and genuine love rather than dependency and desperation. Discipline of self, I am provementi. A disciplined woman is always growing, always learning, always becoming a better version of herself. She doesn't improve herself to attract a man or keep a man interested. She improves herself because she understands that personal growth is a lifelong journey and that becoming the best version of herself is her responsibility to herself. This commitment to continuous improvement is incredibly attractive to men because it shows them several important things. First, that you're not complacent or stagnant. Second, that you take responsibility for your own development rather than expecting others to change to accommodate you. Third, that you're someone who will continue to grow and evolve throughout the relationship, keeping things interesting and dynamic. The disciplined woman reads books, takes courses, develops new skills, maintains her health, nurtures her friendships, and pursues her passions. She doesn't abandon these things. When she enters a relationship, she maintains them because they're part of what makes her who she is. Men fall in love with women who inspire them to be better. When you're committed to your own growth and improvement, you naturally inspire the people around you to raise their standards as well. You become someone who elevates the relationship rather than someone who settles for mediocrity. This discipline around self-improvement also shows a man that you're someone who can handle challenges and obstacles. You're someone who doesn't give up when things get difficult, but instead looks for ways to grow and learn from every experience. This resilience and determination are incredibly attractive qualities that make a man see you as a true partner in life. Perhaps the most powerful result of mental discipline is authentic self-expression. When you've disciplined your mind, you're no longer reactive, needy, or constantly seeking approval. This allows your true personality to shine through without the distortion of insecurity or desperation. Authenticity is magnetic because it's rare. Most people are so caught up in trying to be what they think others want them to be that they lose touch with who they really are. But the disciplined woman knows herself so well and is so comfortable with who she is that she can be completely genuine in all her interactions. Men fall in love with real women, not perfect facades. When you've disciplined yourself to be authentic, you give a man permission to be authentic as well. You create a space where both of you can be yourselves without pretense or performance. This kind of genuine connection is what creates lasting love. The authentic woman doesn't pretend to like things she doesn't like or agree with things she doesn't agree with just to keep a man interested. She expresses her true opinions, shares her real interests, and shows her genuine personality. This authenticity is refreshing and attractive because it's so different from the people pleasing behavior that many women default to. When you're authentically yourself, you attract people who genuinely like you for who you are rather than for who you're pretending to be. This creates the foundation for a relationship based on real compatibility and genuine appreciation rather than illusion and pretense. CREHINGMIONL safety YHRO GGS hyperion, one of the less obvious but incredibly important ways that mental discipline attracts men is by creating emotional safety. When you've disciplined your mind, you become predictable in the best possible way, not boring, but stable and reliable in your emotional responses. Men often struggle with expressing vulnerability because they've learned to associate emotional expression with weakness or danger. But when a woman has disciplined her emotional responses, she creates a safe space where a man can open up without fear of judgment, drama, or emotional volatility. The disciplined woman doesn't punish a man for being honest about his feelings or concerns. She doesn't create drama when he needs space or time to process. She doesn't use his vulnerabilities against him during arguments. Instead, she responds to his openness with maturity, understanding, and respect. This emotional safety is crucial for deep love to develop because men need to feel safe to be vulnerable. When you've shown through your disciplined responses that you can handle his emotions as well as your own, you create the conditions where deep emotional intimacy can flourish. The woman who has disciplined her mind becomes a haven in a man's life, someone he can come to for peace, understanding, and genuine connection. This role is incredibly valuable and creates the kind of bond that makes a man see you as irreplaceable in his life. The lum TR Vesuan OFD CI plan and Lovi finally, the disciplined woman thinks long term. She doesn't make decisions based on immediate emotions or short term desires. She considers the long term implications of her choices and behaviors, understanding that the habits she establishes in the beginning of a relationship set the tone for everything that follows. This long-term thinking is attractive to men because it shows maturity, wisdom, and the ability to delay gratification for greater rewards. It shows that you're someone who can build something meaningful rather than someone who's only focused on immediate pleasure or validation. The disciplined woman invests in the relationship's future by maintaining her standards, continuing her personal growth, and creating patterns of behavior that support lasting love rather than temporary attraction. She understands that what attracts a man initially might not be what keeps him long term, and she focuses on developing the qualities that create lasting partnership. Men fall in love with women they can envision a future with, women who demonstrate through their daily choices that they have the discipline, maturity, and wisdom to build a life together. When you discipline your mind, you become this kind of woman naturally. The secret to making a man fall deeply in love isn't about being perfect, accommodating, or always available. It's about disciplining your mind to become the kind of woman who naturally attracts lasting love through her strength, authenticity, and self-respect. When you discipline your mind, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop settling and start commanding the respect you deserve. You become magnetic not because you're trying to be, but because you genuinely are a high value woman who knows her worth. Remember, discipline isn't about restriction, it's about freedom. It's the freedom to choose your responses rather than being controlled by your emotions. It's the freedom to maintain your standards rather than compromising them for temporary attention. It's the freedom to be yourself rather than what you think someone else wants you to be. The men who are worth your time and energy are naturally drawn to disciplined women because they recognize quality when they see it. They want partners who challenge them, inspire them, and complement their lives rather than complicate them. Start today. Discipline your mind to think before you react. Discipline your emotions to respond rather than explode. Discipline your choices to align with your values rather than your fears. Discipline your standards to reflect your worth rather than your desperation. The woman you become through this discipline will be irresistible not just to men, but to everyone who encounters your energy. You'll become someone who doesn't just attract love, you'll become someone who deserves it and knows how to nurture it into something beautiful and lasting. Your future self is waiting, and she's absolutely magnetic. The journey starts with disciplining your mind, and the destination is the love you've always dreamed of. Are you ready to begin? If this video resonated with you, make sure to like it, subscribe for more relationship insights, and share it with any woman who's ready to transform her love life through the power of mental discipline. Leave a comment below sharing your biggest takeaway. And remember, you have everything you need within you to create the love story you deserve. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay authentic, and stay magnetic.